So can Bear Creek Arsenal beat their bad reputation? What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Muzzle Bro channel. Today we got the review of the BC9 by Bear Creek Arsenal, a 9mm Glock mag compatible pistol caliber carbine that we slammed 1,000 rounds through, and we're talking all about it today. In this video, we're going to go ahead and go over the specs of the gun, what we did to this build out specifically. We'll go over some first impressions and then first shots with the gun. We'll do a little comparison to another Glock mag compatible PCC. We'll do some accuracy testing, see how fast we can get this guy with some build drills, see how this gun shoots suppressed, and then tie all that in with the overall performance of the gun over the 1,000 rounds, and our final thoughts on the gun, trying to answer the question, should you buy this? So real quick, disclosures. Bear Creek Arsenal did send the BC9 out to the channel, but I do always like to reassure you guys that I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm always 100% going to give you guys my fair and honest feedback on any firearm we get here on the channel. To be very honest with you, my reputation of being honest and truthful with you guys is much more important to me than Bear Creek Arsenal's reputation, so I'm always going to give you guys 100% truth and honest feedback, and you're going to see that with this gun today when we do run into some malfunctions. Before we get started, if you guys could please subscribe to the Muzzle Bro channel, I would really appreciate it. A very low percentage of you who watch my videos are actually subscribed to the channel. It is totally free and easy to do. Hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it, and we'll go ahead and dive right into the review of this gun. Let's talk about the specs. So the BC9 is a 9mm pistol caliber carbine from Bear Creek Arsenal. This does come in both a left and right side charging model, and does have a bufferless design with a 1913 rail. This model specifically has a 5-inch Parkerized barrel with a 1 in 10 twist rate, featuring a blowback gas system. This does come with a 4-inch M-LOK split handguard, a billet lower, and does take Glock compatible mags. And the MSRP of this gun is on Bear Creek Arsenal's website for right around 630 dino nuggets. Without the pistol brace, the gun does have an overall length of about 15 inches, a width of about 2 inches, and an overall height of about 7 inches. So those are the specs from the factory, but obviously this gun does have quite a little bit of aftermarket work done to it. So let's kind of go through this build specifically, starting front to back. In the front of the gun, we do have a Griffin armament muzzle device so that I could utilize the Griffin armament suppressor through this review. We also have some iron sights from XS Sights. We have a Lux tactical red dot on this guy sitting upon a Midwest Industries quick detach riser. Obviously this gun has some pretty awesome tiger stripe camo that was done for us by Billet Armory. The trigger on this guy is really phenomenal, actually from Jacob Gray Firearms, makers of the TWC Hex. We do have a Mythic tactical pistol grip on this guy, and we were running this little hand stop from Mythic Tactical as well before it blew off the gun. Oh look, we burned off our hand stop from Mythic Tactical. The pistol brace we're running on this actually did just come from Bear Creek Arsenal, but this is the CNC Warrior pistol brace, and I'm actually a really big fan of this. And in the description of this video, I will have a link to a Google Doc that goes through every part of this build so that you guys could check it out if you're interested. Okay, so let's talk about my first impressions of the gun and kind of what we thought at the house before we took it to the range. I mean, right off the rip, I did really like how this build turned out. I think it looks really good with the Mythic Tactical grip and the Glock mags. I really do like the CNC Warrior pistol brace. It's incredibly solid, sturdy, and stable. Quite honestly, this is probably the best pistol brace I've ever used. I thought this gun looked really amazing with the cerakote job from Billet Armory, so I was really just pleased with the aesthetics. Now, there were a couple of functional things that I kind of was a little bit irritated with out of the box. Number one, that's not that big of a deal probably, is the thread pitch. So most ARs and most 9mm PCCs are just gonna have that classic 1/2x28 thread pitch, so you can throw on whatever like muzzle device, suppressor, blah 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 that you wanted to. The BC9 does not have that normal thread pitch. The thread pitch of this guy is 1/36, which, like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it is kind of weird. It was a little annoying to me that I had to like source a different muzzle device so I could throw my suppressor on. Just kind of an odd choice in my opinion, but I guess nothing wrong with the firearm specifically. The other huge thing that really was kind of a bummer out of the box was that this gun like does not lock back on an empty mag. The gun does have our traditional AR-15 bolt release and does take AR pistol grips, triggers, safeties as well. So I kind of did expect this gun to kind of lock back on an empty mag so that we could smack that bolt release home and charge the weapon to shoot again, but it didn't. And we tried a good handful of Glock mags, it didn't matter. The gun just does not lock back on an empty chamber, which is kind of weird. Off the rip, that's something that I didn't love, but I did really like the way it looked, and aside from the no lock back and the weird thread pitch, I didn't really have any other super negative first impressions, so I was pretty pumped to get this little sub gun to the range. So let's shoot you back to our 105-degree Texas range day for first shots. First shots with the BC9. We've got this one kitted out pretty cool, so I've been pretty pumped to shoot this. Let's see how she runs. Holy shit, that is hot. That's a ton of fun. For a 9mm PCC, obviously not that much recoil, but it feels really good for a direct blowback system. This one's gonna be a ton of fun. Let's run it. So first shots went good, no big issues with the gun. It fed, it ran pretty well. There wasn't any significant snappy recoil. I really did like the pistol brace. It wasn't too poppy. With the Jacob Gray trigger, we were able to shoot it fast. No huge issues with the first shots. So after the first shots, we filmed the montage for the beginning. Was having a lot of fun shooting the gun. I really did like this trigger in the gun because it was allowing me to shoot this pretty darn quick. During the filming of the montage, we didn't have any jams with it. Again, it was really annoying that I had to reload and charge the gun every time because that bolt didn't hold back. But aside from that, at this point, no issues. Where we did start to run into issues was the comparison segment of the video. So we got the BC9 here, a nice little kind of budget style PCC that takes our Glock mags. So we figured we'd compare it to the EP9, another budget PCC that does take Glock mags. As far as price points, I think the BC9 is gonna be about 200 bucks more expensive than the EP9, but let's see how they shoot. Up first, popping a couple rounds with the BC9. Not too bad, not too snappy, feels good. EP9 up next. Both shoot really nice, but I will say I think the EP9 is just a hair snappier. If we're just, I don't know how scientific this is. Yeah, EP9's a little bit snappier. Oh, hey, actually, first jam with the BC9 on the 1,000 round range review. Not sure if that's a failure to feed or a failure to extract. Let's see. So we did pop out a live round. If you kind of look at that lug there, it looks like we had an issue, failure to feed. So BC9 versus the EP9. Like I said, I think the BC9 shot a little bit better, but we did have that failure to feed. Okay, so let's break all that down. EP9, BC9. You know, they're 9mm PCCs. We're not talking incredible recoil. That being said, I do think that the BC9 shot a little bit better, was a little bit less poppy than the EP9. But to be incredibly honest, that may have just been due to the braces. The brace on the EP9 is a little flimsy and wimpy, and like I said earlier, I do really love the CNC Warrior brace on the BC9. Now, it was a little funny to me that we ran into our first malfunction with the BC9 while comparing it to the EP9, because the EP9 is an absolute diesel tank that I was never expecting. We did the 1,000 round range review with the EP9, had absolutely zero malfunctions. And since we've done this review, I've probably put damn near close to another 700, 800 rounds through it without cleaning it, and still no problems with the EP9. And of course, we had our failure to feed with the BC9. For the range review today, we were just using this Blazer 115 grain. And although this isn't like the most high-end ammo in the whole wide world, this is pretty much typically what I use for all of my 9mm range reviews. So I don't really use that as an excuse because other guns have performed and performed very well with this ammunition. So I didn't super love that we had that failure to feed, but you know, sometimes it happens. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't happen again, so we kind of continued the range review as normal. So after that comparison, we did move right into the accuracy testing. Accuracy testing with the BC9, pistol caliber carbine. We're not going to be sniping with this, so we're at about 30 yards. Going to pop off about 5 rounds as, Jesus, the words escape me. Pop off about 5 rounds as proficiently as I can, and we'll see what the group is. Ow. All right, let's see what we got. My little ow was the charging handle reciprocates, kind of forgot. All right, so there's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was kind of aiming for this bad guy head, I guess you would say. I did seem to pull this one, but I guess we did save the hostage. But here on the Muzzlebroke channel, we don't negotiate with terrorists or their hostages. Accurate enough. So obviously we were having a little bit of fun with the accuracy testing at the end there, but overall, a accurate enough PCC. Again, this isn't a precision long-range rifle. We have a 5-inch 9mm barrel. We shot a decent group. I was happy with the accuracy. No huge qualms with that. But after we're doing boring stuff and shooting super slow with the accuracy testing, if you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you know we have to rip these guns as fast as we possibly can with some bill drills. So before I die of heat stroke, we're gonna run some bill drills with the BC9. The Jacob Gray trigger we have on this is like absolutely incredible. So I should be able to get some pretty quick bill drill splits, but let's see. A little bit of trigger freeze on that on my end. It was a 1, 2, 1. Let's run that a couple more times. My cameraman's giving me the thumbs down. All right, let's see if I can beat that. All right, that was definitely faster. Let's see what we got. 1.05. Let's run that one more time. All right, for all the marbles. Felt a little slower. Let's see. 1.04. So hovering right around about a second with the BC9. Still a very pleasant gun to bill drill. Feels really good. Shoots really nice. Not too bad. So decent times with the build drills there. Obviously some of that is shooter error. Could I have gotten faster with this? Yeah, I'm sure. I did have some snappy times. We were shooting pretty darn fast in the Montage. I will say I could definitely shoot a traditional AR or even like a 2011 or a handgun a little bit quicker than I could this. I think that's just a little bit due to the cyclic rate of the bolt with that direct blowback system. But regardless, pretty speedy build drills. So lastly, I did really want to test this gun suppressed. Typically when I run these range reviews, I shoot about half suppressed and half non-suppressed. I'm going to be 100% real with you. It was 105 that day and the weather app said it felt like 110. The gun was getting hot as shit and I really did not want to run 500 rounds suppressed, but we did still test the BC9 with this Griffin Armament Bushwhacker 46 suppressor. So just about finishing up with the 1,000 round range review of the BC9. We just had that one failure to feed, but I haven't shot it suppressed yet. I was throwing this in the dirt earlier, but it's screwing on fine. We'll screw this on, run a handful of mags through it, just make sure it does run suppressed. I think this does actually look pretty sweet suppressed as well, but let's see how she runs. Oh, dude, that gets super hot, but ran nicely. No issues with feeding. I have one more Glock mag loaded up. This is getting hot as hell. Uh-oh. Okay. We have another jammy poo here. So it looks like we have a failure to extract here. Just kidding. So you see that slug is kind of smushed into that casing. So another failure to feed, the second failure to feed with the BC9 here. Ha! Hit the target. All right, let's see this. All right, ran that pretty well. So I do like how it shot suppressed, but it is a little suspicious to me that we got a malfunction pretty quick with the suppressor. Okay, so as you just saw there, failure to feed number 2. This one was a little bit more severe in my opinion. You could really tell that that slug was super smashed down in the casing. I've had that happen with some hollow point rounds before in some of my other handguns, but I have really never had that issue with that Blazer 115 grain until we ran it through this gun. Now, although we did have some stick mags for this, for the most part, we ran this with just our standard Glock 17 mags, so I really can't blame the mag or the ammo for that. I kind of do have to blame the gun. And again, is that like a critical malfunction error, like I have to take the gun apart? Like, no, it's not. Just kind of one of those things where you obviously don't want it to happen, especially if you're considering using this gun for home defense, practical application, bag gun, and not just a range toy, kind of how we were using it in today's video. So I think that's a good segue into performance of the gun and final thoughts. Over the course of the 1,000 rounds, we did just have those 2 failures to feed, which isn't horrible, but obviously isn't great. So the gun did shoot decently. The recoil wasn't significant. It didn't really feel too snappy or poppy. It was very controllable for a short 9mm PCC. It was practically accurate given the barrel length and caliber, and the build drills we were running with it were pretty speedy. So that would be this gun's glow. Now let's talk about the gun's grow. Straight up drives me absolutely bananas bonkers that this bolt does not hold back when we're empty. Until we did the range review, I didn't really realize how irritating that would be to me, but especially because this does take Glock mags, it was just Glock mag, like we were running the hell out of this, and to have to charge the gun every time was just really irritating because it does have a bolt release. Because we were getting malfunctions with the gun, whenever I would go dry, I kind of had to look over and be like, wait, like, is it a malfunction or am I just empty? It was a little annoying. So I think that would be a huge area of improvement for this gun. Another grow for this gun would have to be the reliability. Does it look cool? Yeah, especially how we have this guy set up. Did it shoot pretty well? Yeah, shot okay. Was it fun? Yeah, man, I had fun. But would I use this as a nightstand gun? Absolutely not. Would I use this as a practical bag gun? No, I wouldn't. Would I use this as a cool gun to hand my buddy, my brother, my girlfriend to take to the range and have some fun with? Yeah, absolutely, I would. Would I trust my life to this gun? You know, unfortunately, just because of those failures to feed, I wouldn't. That just kind of is what it is. So kind of going to our final thoughts of the gun and should you buy this? If you want a new PCC, if you want one that's left or right-sided charging, if you want a PCC that takes Glock mags, that's not going to break the bank, that's not too bad to shoot, and that you're going to have fun with at the range, is this a viable option for about that 630 Dino Nugget price point? Yeah, I would say it is. It was fun. I had a good time with it. If you are looking for a nightstand home defense gun, should you grab the BC9? No, you shouldn't. Especially when we start to talk about other possible options. I mean, again, the EP9 is cheaper and runs better. And for the price point of the BC9, you could either grab a Glock, Frankenstein together your own AR9. Hell, you could even build yourself a 5.56 or 300 Blackout AR-15 that I think is going to be practically a little bit better and more reliable than the BC9 for a serious home defense nightstand PCC setup. So I guess summing up my final thoughts. The gun looks cool. I liked how modular it is because it does take AR-15 components. I enjoyed switching the grip and the trigger. I enjoyed the 1913 rail and the CNC Warrior brace. I enjoyed the ability to suppress it after we worked past our wonky thread pitch, and it does kind of have an interesting and unique look to it, which I would say is a plus. It's just not going to be my ride or die PCC. If you were really looking for a ride or die PCC, my advice to you would either be grab the EP9 or save up a little bit more money, grab yourself a higher end AR9, an MP5, a CZ Scorpion, something along those lines that is going to be more expensive than this, but is going to be a little bit more reliable. So that just about brings us to the end of the 1,000 round range review of the BC9 by Bear Creek Arsenal. Guys, I really appreciate you watching this content. This is a ton of fun for me to do, so I really love when you guys tune into the channel. Let me know what your thoughts are on the BC9. Would you run this as your nightstand PCC? And if not, what are you choosing? But more importantly, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel because we have some awesome guns and awesome range reviews coming up. I literally just got done setting up the M23 from Krebs Customs here, and I am absolutely in love with this AK, so you're not going to want to miss the review of this. Plus, it is absolutely free to subscribe, and like I said earlier, it helps me out a ton, so hit that subscribe button. You guys have an amazing, safe, and fun week, and I will see you at the next Muzzle Broke video.